If you're over 60 and eating one egg every morning, what you think is helping your body might quietly be working against your kidneys and your sleep. And the surprising part? It may not be the egg at all. What affects your kidneys and your sleep may not be the egg itself. Sometimes, it's what that egg is replacing and what's sitting next to it on the plate. That's why this matters. For many older adults, one egg a day is part of a breakfast that feels steadier, lighter, and easier on the body. And for some people, that can mean less of the hidden burden that leads to more thirst, higher pressure, more interrupted sleep at night, and more fatigue the next day. So stay with me, because before the end of this video, I'm going to give you a 5-second check you can use before your first bite tomorrow morning to know whether your breakfast is helping your kidneys and your sleep, or quietly working against both. I'm Dr. Thomas Bennett. After years of working with older adults, I've seen this confusion again and again. Someone tells me, I eat a healthy breakfast every day. I'm doing the right thing. But then they start noticing more puffiness, more fatigue, more concern about their kidney numbers, more nights interrupted by thirst or bathroom trips, and more nights where they wake up and struggle to fall back asleep. Then they look at that same familiar breakfast and wonder how something so ordinary ended up at the center of the story. This is not a diagnosis. This is a practical lesson in how one familiar food can fit very differently into an older body. Let's start with the first shift. Your breakfast stayed the same, but your kidneys did not. That's the part most people never think about. Many people keep eating the way they did in their 40s, while the organs handling that routine have quietly changed over time. Kidney disease can stay silent in the early stages. Sometimes you don't feel clear symptoms. You're still functioning normally, staying active all day without fatigue, eating normally, living your life, and valuing it. But your kidneys may have less reserve than before, especially when age overlaps with high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or a family history of kidney problems. That's what makes this so misleading. You feel mostly fine, but your margin of safety is smaller than you realize. And that changes how breakfast lands. The egg is the same, but the body handling it is not. A meal that felt light at 45 may feel different at 68. If your kidneys are doing the same work, with less reserve, and with energy gradually declining over time. If that resonates with you, type balance in the comments. One word. That reminder helps you move away from extremes and start thinking in patterns. Now here comes the second shift. The protein in one egg can be helpful, but it still creates work, and this is where people get pulled in the wrong direction. They hear that eggs are a high-quality protein, and that's true. For many older adults, one egg is a practical anchor for breakfast. It helps the meal feel satisfying. It supports muscle maintenance when the rest of the day is balanced, and it's easier to build around than salty processed breakfast meats. So, yes, one egg a day can be beneficial when it's paired appropriately. But often, the real benefit of one egg is the cleaner breakfast it replaces. A single egg makes it easier to build a breakfast around real food, instead of bacon, sausage, processed cheese, or packaged items. And that matters because sometimes the value of one egg isn't that it does something dramatic on its own. It helps prevent breakfast from turning into a salty, overloaded event right at the start of the day. Still, there's an important limit here. Protein isn't just nutrition, it's also workload for the body. When you eat protein, your body uses what it needs, and your kidneys help clear the byproducts. In a younger body, with strong reserves and good function, that usually happens quietly. In an older body, especially when kidney function declines, the same process can feel heavier over time if total protein intake keeps rising. So instead of asking, is one egg good or bad? The better question is, what else is on this plate? That's usually where overload begins. And now we get to the biggest shift in this video. The real problem is often not the egg. It's the breakfast built around it. Most people don't eat an egg by itself. They eat it with bacon, sausage, processed cheese, salty bread toppings, canned soup, or instant noodles. Once that happens, the meal stops being a simple protein breakfast and becomes a high-sodium, additive-heavy pattern, one that puts more strain on blood pressure, fluid balance, and kidney health over time. And this is where sleep comes into the picture. Many older adults assume waking up at night to urinate is just part of aging. Sometimes, multiple factors are involved. But nighttime waking is also tied to fluid handling, blood pressure issues, bladder issues, kidney issues, and repeated eating patterns. So yes, breakfast is shaping your night, more than you think. Not because one egg is a sleeping pill, not because one egg treats kidney disease, but because a better breakfast structure can reduce hidden burdens that make evenings harder for some people. If your healthy breakfast includes a salty side every day, that repeated sodium pattern matters, far more than the egg itself. Over time, it can make you thirstier later. It can make fluid balance harder. It can push blood pressure in the wrong direction. And in some people, that's part of why sleep becomes lighter, less deep, more fragmented, and interrupted by nighttime bathroom trips, leaving you more tired the next day. That's why one egg a day can help when it replaces the wrong companions. One egg with vegetables is a very different breakfast from one egg with bacon, sausage, and processed cheese. One pattern keeps the meal simpler, lower in sodium, and easier to fit into a balanced day. The other quietly pushes thirst, pressure, and nighttime waking in the wrong direction. That's not fear. That's meal context. And here's the key point. The connection between one egg, kidney support, and deeper sleep is usually indirect. The egg helps most when it leads to a breakfast that's less processed, less salty, and easier for the body to handle. Now let's talk about the next mistake. The biggest problem is often swinging to extremes. When people hear that protein matters for kidney health, they often overreact in one of two ways. Some double down. They assume more protein always means more strength. So breakfast becomes 2 eggs, 3 eggs, extra meat, extra cheese, and then a healthy, high-protein snack later on. Others panic and cut too much. They stop eating enough protein altogether, thinking less protein must automatically mean less work for the kidneys. Both mistakes can backfire. Older adults still need enough protein to support muscle, function, and resilience. But kidney nutrition is individualized. The right amount depends on the person, their kidney function, their overall eating pattern, their lab results, and what else is happening medically. So, the safest lesson isn't eat as much protein as possible, and it isn't cut eggs completely. The safer lesson is precision. For many people, one whole egg is easier to build around than several. It gives you a natural stopping point. It prevents breakfast from turning into a protein pileup, and it makes it easier to pair that protein with fiber-rich foods, instead of stacking protein on top of protein. That's one of the simplest advantages of eating one egg a day. It gives structure to the plate. One egg is easier to track. One egg is easier to balance. One egg is less likely to turn breakfast into a salty, heavy, overloaded event. And that matters not only for the kidneys, it may also matter for the evening that follows. A more moderate breakfast is less likely to leave you chasing thirst later, or building a day that feels heavier than it needs to. Now let's make this practical. How you cook the egg, and what you pair it with, can change the entire effect. That's the part nobody notices. People focus on the egg itself, but ignore the form and the pairings. First, cooking matters. A boiled egg, a steamed egg, or an egg cooked in a pan with very little oil is very different from an egg turned into a greasy, salty breakfast event. The goal isn't perfection. It's fewer hidden hits, repeated less often. Second, pairings matter even more. If that egg is paired with vegetables, mushrooms, oats, or beans that fit your needs, the meal behaves very differently than if it's paired with bacon, sausage, processed cheese, instant noodles, or canned soup. That's where the label matters, more than the marketing. Many people think they're eating a healthy breakfast because there's an egg on the plate. But if the rest of the plate is doing the real damage, the egg becomes a distraction instead of the issue. And now here's the 5-second check I promised at the beginning. Before your first bite, look at your plate and ask one question. What on this plate is most likely to make me thirsty tonight? That's the 5-second kidney and sleep check. If the answer is bacon, sausage, processed cheese, salty bread toppings, canned soup, instant noodles, or another packaged item, then the egg is probably not the problem. The salty side is. Keep the egg, change the side. That one shift can make breakfast feel lighter, steadier, and easier to repeat tomorrow. It may also reduce one of the patterns that makes nights harder for some people. And if you want a practical structure, use this. 1 cooked egg, 1 unsalted or lower sodium side, 1 fiber-rich food, and no processed salty meat on the same plate, unless your doctor has advised otherwise. That's not a trend. It's a repeatable pattern. There's also a reason. This habit can help some people sleep more peacefully. A breakfast built around 1 egg, vegetables, or oats is more stable than one built around salty, processed meats. It may leave you less thirsty later. It may reduce the urge to chase flavor. With more sodium, it may make the morning feel lighter. And when repeated over time, this pattern may support calmer evenings and fewer overnight disruptions. In some people, the egg isn't acting like medicine. The plate is simply becoming easier on the body. When people hear 1 egg a day may help, they should understand it the right way. It may help by simplifying breakfast. It may help by replacing saltier options. It may help by giving you enough protein to feel satisfied without turning the meal into a high-sodium, high-protein overload. Sometimes the smartest move isn't adding something magical. It's removing the hidden burden you stopped noticing. And that's really what this video is about. Recognition. Because once you see which part of your breakfast is driving thirst, pressure, and broken sleep, you can fix the problem without throwing out the part that may still be helping you. There's one more refinement worth knowing. If your doctor has mentioned phosphorus, or if your kidney function is already reduced, the yolk and the white are not nutritionally the same. Some people may do better with 1 whole egg on some days, and 1 whole egg plus extra whites on other days, instead of automatically adding more yolks. A simple rhythm can look like this. One day, 1 egg with vegetables. Another day, 1 egg with oats or beans, and no processed meat. Another day, 1 egg plus extra whites, if you want more volume, without turning breakfast into a high-salt event. It's not fancy, it's just controlled enough to support muscle, respect kidney context, and reduce the kind of breakfast overload that can echo into the night. And that brings us to the signals your body may already be giving you. If you notice swollen ankles, morning puffiness, more frequent nighttime urination, foamy urine, unusual fatigue, reduced appetite, nausea, or abnormal kidney test results, don't brush it all off as just aging. Those signs don't prove breakfast is the cause, but they do tell you it's worth paying closer attention. That doesn't mean eggs cause the problem. It means the pattern deserves attention. And this is the deeper point of the entire video. A daily egg is not automatically a kidney problem. For many people, it can actually be one of the simpler and more useful parts of breakfast. Its real benefit shows up when the egg stays moderate, when total daily protein is respected, when sodium-heavy sides don't turn the meal into a hidden burden, and when you pay attention to the quiet signals your body is already giving you. So if your goal is better kidney support and steadier sleep, don't fixate on the egg first. Look at the whole plate. Look at the side dish. Look at the sodium. Look at what keeps repeating. Because the food that matters most may not be the one you trust. It may be the one that keeps making you thirsty later. So, tomorrow morning, before your first bite, ask that question. What on this plate is most likely to make me thirsty tonight? That habit alone can change how you see breakfast. And sometimes the simplest win isn't removing the egg. It's finally noticing what the egg has been sitting next to all along. If this helped, keep that question with you tomorrow morning and share this with someone your age, or with a parent, spouse, sibling, or friend who still believes that a healthy breakfast is automatically healthy, no matter what comes with it. Sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is notice the quiet pattern before it starts asking more from our kidneys, our sleep, and our energy than we ever realized.